Dumela. Namene ke tsese ba ke se go le amogela. Ke bidiwa Arafat ke Tsokhan. Ke mo parlamente wa Molepoleland North. Ke teletse pele committee ya statutory bodies and state enterprise. Anong ke tile go neela ba ke na le bona gore ba itshupe gore ke bomang le bodiredi ha ke tsogong e be ke le neela lona ka ko gore le tele le bolelo go le bomang le tshwere maemo afi. Ke a leboga.
Ke a leboga modula stilo maina a ke bidiwa go twe tlhabologo furniture ke leloko la komiti yone e ke parlamenta ko Tati East. Ke a leboga.
Thank you, Chair. Na ke bidiwa go tega hele Stombo ke mo parlamento a Tonota ke leloko la komiti yone. Thank you, Chair.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Umpemetsi Kwapa. I'm a member of Parliament for Joanne Mabutsani, also a member of this committee. Thank you.
Ke a leboga honorable Chair. Na maina a me ke Jeremiah Jerry Frenza, member of Parliament for Shashe West. Shashe West ke metse ke buang ka one ke metse a e tswang go Mathangwane ke la go Shashe mo ke go tsena go Matsitama. The reason why ke bua ka metse a teng ka gore a ke re Shashe mo ke eta e tswa go Zimbabwe be boela gape e heta mo go tswana e boela go Zimbabwe. Thank you, honorable Chair.
Dumelang bagaetso. Thank you, Chair. Ke bidiwa Caterpillar ka inangura hikwama. Ke mo parlamente wa Koma West. Ke leloko la committee yone. Ke a leboga.
Dumelang betso. Ke bidiwa Phil Aaron ke mo parlamente wa Ngani e bile ke leloko la komiti yone. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Janet Mbadi-Epebagana, Deputy Auditor General. Thank you.
Dumelang, ke bidiwa ka Thata Sandra Molefe Williams from the Office of the Accountant General.
Good afternoon. Ke bidiwa Rapelang Kau from Attorney General.
Good afternoon. Ke bidiwa Kgamang Lebele. I'm the technical advisor to the committee.
I'm now going to invite CEDA go ripolela gore ke bomang.
Ke a dumedisa. Ke bidiwa Khalala Mokefani. I am the caretaker CEO for CEDA, the accounting officer.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelebogile Justice Rampetu. I am the Director of Strategy and Project from CEDA.
Good afternoon. Kibidwa Godfrey Misimanu Tsile. I am the CFO at CEDA.
Good afternoon. Kibidwa James Moribame. I'm the Chief Operations Officer at CEDA.
Good afternoon. Kibidwa Kilabukile Plots. I'm the Acting Head of Internal Audit.
Good afternoon. Kibidwa Alec Moketa. I'm the Investigations, Risk and Compliance.
Let me remind witnesses that these proceedings are held under oath. You have been summoned to give evidence before this Parliamentary Committee on Statutory Bodies and State Enterprises. The evidence you will give before this committee will be on oath or affirmation and must be truthful in terms of the oath or affirmation you shall take before the giving of your evidence. You have the option to swear to the oath or on the Bible, Kana Quran, by putting your left hand on the Bible or Quran and with your right hand raised. Or you may opt to make an affirmation if you object to the first oath. Kindly indicate the option you are electing.
I will use the Bible.
Okay. Kopawe Makadi now. I, full names,
Khalala Mokefani,
do hereby swear that The evidence I shall give before this committee
The evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. I, full names,
Justice Rampetu,
do hereby swear that
the
the evidence I shall give before this committee
evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
and
nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Iska Bible akata sipekata sikwe ehe. I, full names,
Godfrey Kibalipile Musimanutsile,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
the evidence I shall give before this committee
the evidence that I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole
the
truth,
whole truth,
and nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. I, full names,
James Robert Muribami.
Simola hela sesha. I,
James Robert Muribami,
do hereby swear that
do hereby swear that
the evidence I shall give before this committee
the evidence that I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth,
shall be the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. On behalf of the statutory body, what team? Hey, what team? Gore a gore ba se seng ko morago ba ha gore le ka tlhokega gore gongwe le arabe sengwe hela re tla le tseisa le lona oath but re tla simolola ka ba pele ba re tswelele. On behalf of the Statutory Bodies Committee, I welcome you to this committee. Your attendance is highly appreciated. Please note that this examination is part of the Parliament's oversight responsibility. As a result, we welcome your cooperation and thoughtful responses to the members of this committee. I'm now going to invite the accounting officer to present his executive summary. Please limit your presentation to key issues only and highlights on the mandate, financial performance, governance, auditors' reports, BAWA, PPRA, and other regulators' reports. I will have 15 minutes to summarize the presentation. I get a vulnerable or ba botse dipotso mme mo go botse dipotso a go arabe wena hela go na le ba boakanya gore ba ka araba e se gore nyatsa gore a kgone go araba mme re dumela gore ke collective ke a leboga.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and good afternoon again, members. The Citizen Entrepreneurship Development Agency was established in 2001 by the government of Botswana, and therefore it is a 100% owned, government-owned entity with the sole as a developmental financial institution, with its core mandate being to promote and support citizen entrepreneurship as a driver of economic growth. As a driver of economic growth, diversification, industrialization, and inclusive development. The agency affords affordable finance, business mentoring, technical training, credit guarantees, equity participation, and special purpose financing to citizen-owned enterprises across Botswana. We work across sectors, whether it's manufacturing, technology and innovation, agri-business, property and services, transport, logistics, hospitality, retail, mining, and other emerging sectors. Our mandate focuses mainly on supporting small, medium, micro enterprises, including special attention to youth, women, and people living with disabilities, in order to unlock and help them have access to affordable financing by putting in place finance. If you look at our logo, we say we sustain, we develop, and we finance. And therefore, the core mandate is to ensure that we help them create sustainable enterprises. The agency operates within a strong governance framework and compliance, guided by the Companies Act, FIA, PPRA Act, IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards, Audited Financial Statements, Botswana Accountancy Oversight Authority, BAWA, the Auditor General Oversight. And in terms of corporate governance, we rely on King 4 guidance principles. It is supported, or we have built in our board charter, relying on particularly in King 4, and we also use subcommittee terms of reference, which are also aligned to King 4 and use a delegated authority that comes from the main board. We've put in place enterprise risk management and internal control frameworks, and we do have shareholder compact obligations with the government, in particular driven through the Ministry of Trade and Entrepreneurship. CEDA further aligns its strategy, normally it's a 5-year strategy, with the operations of the government, like we are aligned to the Vision 2036, National Development Plan 12, and the Botswana Economic Transformation Program, which collectively emphasize private sector-led growth, industrialization, employment creation, and inclusive citizen economic participation. In fact, I would like to say that CEDA sees ourselves as a key stimulus and participant to the private sector-led growth and economic diversification whilst creating sustainable employment. In terms of the audits that we've undertaken since 2001, Citizen Entrepreneurial Development Agency, CEDA, has continued to strengthen its financial governance, accountability, and compliance environment through the successful completion of approval of audited financial statements. The agency has finalized and signed off financial statements for 2021 financial year, 2022 financial year, and 2023 financial year, which are publicly available through our website and can be found in other publications and portals that we have. We are currently finalizing the 2023-2024 audited financial statements. In fact, where we are, FRAC has actually supported them for approval by the board. And while at the same time, we have commenced auditing on the 2024-25 financial year. We are more than confident that we will be up to date by the end of the calendar year 2026 in terms of the audited financials. I'd like to draw the attention to the committee that one would wonder why we are not up to date as a financial institution in terms of the financials. There was a challenge that we had. It was a matter between Venture Partners Botswana, which was given the mandate to run the CEDA Venture Capital Fund, where VPB was not willing to share the financial information at the end of the contract, which in turn implied the agency had to reconstruct the financials, and this took us back 5 years. And I'm happy to say where we are just 2 years behind in terms of getting to where CEDA needs to be. The audited financial statements continue to reflect the agency's evolving transition from a traditional lending institution into a broader development, finance, and industrialization platform, with growing emphasis on sustainability, portfolio rehabilitation, resource mobilization, and subsidiary growth, and the strategic investments aligned to Botswana's economic transformation agenda. The financial statements also provide transparency on the agency's loan book, performance, revenue generation, impairments, arrears management, governance controls, and overall the financial position. These processes are undertaken within the framework of the IFRS, and in particular, when we manage our we use FRS 9 in terms of how we look at our financials. The oversight by the board, finance and risk committee, audit committee, and external audit are in line with the statutory governance and obligations. We have been, in the last financial year, we did undergo audit by BAWA. Particular items that came to the fore were, in particular, the issue around governance, that CEDA was operating without a board, and other matters that were raised were very much aligned to the governance around the institution. The other issue that was raised was around ensuring that the CFO and the CEO are executive directors, meaning they must have seats in the board as part of what the audit picked up. Internal audit continues to exercise its functions and has identified a lot of control weaknesses on recurring findings. The executive management has now put measures to enhance governance, accountability, and control discipline. Organizational footprint. Subsidiaries, strategic investment, and major contracts. CEDA continues to expand its institutional footprint and operational capacity in line with its mandate to drive citizen entrepreneurship. The agency currently operates 14 nationwide branch network with recent expansion initiatives, including the opening of branches in Shakawe, Tsabong, and lastly, Totome, as well as relocating the modernization of the Gaborone branch, which has moved into the BHC building to improve accessibility and operational efficiency and customer service delivery. We take customer experience at the heart of what we do. From the people perspective, being a DFI and a financial institution requires that our services are driven by the human capital. From an operational capacity point of view, CEDA has approximately 322 substantive employees who have supported by 93 service officers. The 93 service officers are the former Chema employees, and we've managed to retain 93 employees in the process. We also offer internships, graduate trainees, bring a broader workforce and complement to approximately 461 personnel. Our female representation currently stands at 59%, reinforcing the agency's inclusion within the workplace. The agency maintains a relatively moderate vacancy rate of approximately 5.6%, with recruitment currently focused on critical governance, finance, operation and risk management, and service delivery roles. Chairman, as part of government-supported programs, CEDA has administered Chema initiative jointly with LEA. At inception, the program had engaged 176 temporary employees to support the rollout, and the operational delivery across the branches and customer-facing functions. Currently, we have 93 officers that remain supporting the branch operations. In particular, we are getting ready for the audit that is, or the review that is coming, that will include CEDA from Ismalach, that we need to improve our KYC. We also use these officers and are training them and giving an opportunity to understand operations in terms of collection support, documentation, and customer service activities. The agency continues to implement cost containment and operational efficiency measures, including targeted recruitment, zero overtime budgeting, and productivity optimization. Digitization, we run an online platform called Kai Kapakai that enables our customers whenever, to be able to submit their applications. The workforce planning aligned to operational requirements and fiscal sustainability objectives. As part of sustainability, the diversification of revenue streams, CEDA has successfully launched CEDA Insurance Brokers, and we have been given the mandate to run Letsema Horticultural Market, which was established in 2024, and we currently are reviewing the model in order to align it into an aggregator model that will enable every single farmer to have beneficiation out of the model. The agency also oversees CEDA Venture Capital Fund, which currently is not operational. However, the services that were offered by CEDA Venture Capital are currently being offered through the mainstream CEDA. This is because there is a matter before the adjudicator, where we are still talking to a matter to be decided upon in terms of whether Venture Partners Botswana owes CEDA amounts that relate to this particular transaction. I will not go very much into detail because it's a matter that is still before review. CEDA's 4 subsidiaries being the insurance brokers, the Letsema Horticultural Market, and 100% owned. We have another subsidiary by virtue of the financials called Tashubube, which CEDA owns 87%. This was a technical ownership because our mandate or our intention is never to own more than 50% of any venture, but it was meant to assist the institution to stay afloat. CEDA holds equity stakes in associate companies, including Africa Wild Lodges, 21% shareholding, and Global Lubricants, 25% shareholding. The agency has also shares in the companies that are now under liquidation, which are United Refineries at 18%, and we now also have Nosad Capital. Nosad Capital, we are a shareholder on behalf of the Botswana government. In the last financial year and the current financial year, CEDA has embarked on one major project, which is the biggest contract we currently have, which is the upgrade of the system we currently use SAP, and we are moving into SAP called S4HANA that will actually help improve security protocols, ability to integrate with systems, ability to automate functionalities, data layer offers, and consolidated functionality for financial and cost management for easier reporting. This will come at a cost of 25 million on software and 5 million on hardware. And okay. As I come to the summary, Chair, thank you. Over the agency has between 2021 and 2026, CEDA deployed approximately 2.37 billion in the Botswana economy. And the annual domestic investment stood at approximately 449 in 2021, 347 in 2022, and 409 in 2023, and 334 2024, and 336 in 2025. And 493 in 2026. We are on a trajectory and are anticipating to do 950 million in the current financial year. And that is the budget that has been approved by FRAC. And over the same period, the agency has managed to finance 6,616 businesses and has created 11,926 jobs and has sustained a further 5,250 existing jobs. CEDA has also continued to prioritize inclusive financing targeted at empowerment of youth, women, and persons with disabilities, with the agency having deployed over 282 million in the same period and creating 1,748 jobs. Loan book, and this is the pain point of the agency. CEDA's developmental mandate continues to expose the agency to elevated and heightened credit risk. As at the reporting period, the agency's total loan book exposure stood at approximately 2.43 billion, and the arrears and non-performing loans created were sitting at 1.6 billion, creating an active book of about 843 million pula. The NPL for the agency stood at 83.8%. I'm happy to say, as at the quarter ending December, we had successfully managed to bring it down to 66%. And we have all intents and purposes put in place strategies to bring this down to below 30%. To address portfolio quality challenges, we have outsourced collections, loans restructuring, and segmentation. In particular, we've looked at Pikwe, which had several structural challenges that put the industries in Pikwe into challenges. One in particular is that there was a statutory instrument that was meant to create opportunities for them and create a market, offtake market, particularly from government, and that statutory instrument has not yet been put in place. And therefore, the restructure is put in place to actually address that. Chairman, I would love to conclude by stating that our stakeholders continue to be the union, our employees, the Ministry of Trade and Entrepreneurship, Office of the President, and the councils. The municipalities are particularly our strategic partner, where we use to disseminate information on the programs and what we have for Botswana. And we work with developmental financial institutions, commercial banks, and regulatory oversight bodies. And we have industry association, and we are members of the SADC DFRC and Association of African Developmental Financial Institution, ADFI, which help us to stay up to date in terms of what is actually happening in the DFI space. Chairman, I would love to conclude by saying we have all the required personnel, internal audit, regulatory requirement, and we have appointed a DPO, and we are working with AML and FIA to ensure Botswana's compliance in terms of the regulations and the audits that come to ensure that Botswana remains in good standing. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank
you, Honorable Chair. CEO. I think Rotary ka dumalana hore the rationale or the intention ya gore CEDA in the day ne go lebeletse gone gore Botswana kana our local businesses kana batho ba rona mo gae ne bana le ditlhaloganyo tsa go ka dira dikgwebo tsa go ka tolosa itsholelo ya rona go e godisa mme ne ba itswa go tsena mo dilo tse ka gone ba sena mo go twing the starting capital ebile ba sa kgone go hitella se se batiwa ke di-commercial banks a be ile gone gore jaanong re te mo seemong sa gore re le lehatshe re ka simolodisa batho ba gore ba kgone go tsena le go na le sabe mo go godisa itshulelo ya rona a be re taka CEDA gore e kgone go thusa batho ba rona ba ka one maikaelelo mme go a supagala gore ntse go apala gore re kgone kana re ipharologanye go nne le a difference, a clear difference between what is required by the commercial banks and what is required by CEDA. Ke mo ka le bata so se tshwana mo batho se ba senana bontsi bo senana so me ga go ntse jalo gongwe motho o ka thamalla go diputsong a re gone of course we have some strategic priorities tse gongwe le kalana gongwe no ka botsa gore which strategic priorities have been delayed or suspended because of funding tse ne le nna tsodi sa khona go mme gone ha ha re ka bua ka the small and micro enterprise Siemens, our local Siemens mme rona committee le setšhaba ka kakaretso e kana le tshepo e kae mo bokgoni jwa CEDA go aga di-cement tsa rona mo lehatshe la Botswana a re setse re ka dumela gore re na le bokgoni jwa go ka aga bagwebi ba rona to a level e ba ka kgona go compete kana le go gola mo lehatsheng la Botswana how bua I think you have talked about non-performing loans. They stand at 1.6 billion, if I can listen. And you were talking about a book loan here, 2.3 billion, 2.4 billion. Then non-performing, 1.6 billion, again. ha o lebile go leha go lebega e bile le mo dipuo le ka ha re ntse re utlwa ka teng you are struggling to collect go tsa madi mo batho ba ba adimile go a busetsa mo lekalaneng the agency is struggling kana ha e khone motho na ka botsa gone gore what plans are in place to improve revenue collection gona le na le di plans tsa mo tse dintseng ja gore le khone go tsa one madi one gape mo dingwageng tse di hitile ne re utlwa ke ne le simolodisitse loan facility, is it a loan facility bidiwa CEMAF, Citizen Entrepreneur Mortgage Assistance Equity Fund. Ene le gore ne batho gongwe batho ba neng ba na le barana di property gongwe di a collapse ba na le bokete gongwe di a ba di tselwa a be le taka thulaganyo ya gore nyamme le duele le banele madi be ba le collecta morago me go a supagala gore nkete ga go diragale batho ba tsere dilo ya no ba ntse ka di property tsa bone CEDA yone ga ya duelo kana le gale ga ile gore e duetswe e le ta thatswa gore nyamme re khone go collecta re khone go dira gore re ba phimoletse dikoloto tse re ba khone go ba imolola mo diemontse me one madia ba a savisa kra loan e ba I savisa re tsamaya sent ga ile gore gona le bothata o ka supa gore bothata bo hakae e bile bo dirwa keng gore le seka la khona kana ga ile gore le khone le gone o ka supa gore nyame ra khona mo seemong sone seo. My last question ke sa batle go nna molele ona botse re na le Botswana is struggling in terms of creating job opportunities. Mere na le bana ba ba hetsa mo dikolong the technical and vocational graduates ba ile gore they are struggling even to set up businesses. And do you have specific programs that it targets on the technical and vocational graduates ba ile gore they are struggling ka gore lona nkete mo Botswana re tetse culture ya the business go tse di traditional tse re di itsengela tse re di twaetseng tse di dirwa ke mongwe le mongwe a me boneba this a special cohort ya the technical and vocational graduates ba ile gore ba hetsa ga ba khone go dira ditiro for the country because ga ba khone go simolla diotse. Do you have special packages gore le ka thusa jang bone ba ba hetsa mo dikolong gore ba re tirage itshulelo ya rona ka dikitso tse ba di amoleng re madi a ba rutileng a ungwe kana a buele setšhaba so that we can benefit from this the education that we educated our people. I think e me ke eme gone ha ke ta re ta tswela hele rotana le nako ke a leboga honorable chair.
Honorable Francis
ke a leboga honorable chair ke leboge acting CEO for the presentation meta ke thama le ke se ka diana go ke tsene mo dipotso tse ke nang le tsone. Audit findings highlight recurring and unresolved issues for the period under review. What interventions have the agency put in place to address the root cause? Le gone ke batla go itse gore a ne forensic audit I just want to know that. The second question will be, why has the agency, CEDA, failed to submit the 2023 annual report as per the Companies Act, Section 212 requirements? The accounts submitted to this committee are drafts. It is draft there. Let's say no lead signature. I need signature. You are the wrong. Why couldn't what timelines do you submit to this committee on bringing the financials up to date? Go supa ha gona le dituelo tsene di diriwa tsenya amount to 9 million which remain unresolved for a long time, dating back to 2007. When does the agency expect to have cleared these receipts? Up to date, since 2007, did amount of 9 million. And what contributing factors have led to the agency's non-adherence to the set timelines for audit completion and sign-off? The other question, Honorable Chair. Your organization, high funder inside the project. Ani ya lebelela gore project tse ke dintshang ya ka no supa gore the project tse need fundile di create di tiro di 11,900 and inside the figure ani la lebelela sentente gore project e re fundang a ya go thusa motswana go create la yo mongwe tiro. The reason why I'm asking this question ke gore wa go ithela ile gore le funda batho ile gore gongwe let's say gongwe batho ba thomagane ba le ba fundela go dira di multi res yet gona le batho ile gore ba ka create business go thoko ha ba bone ba e bile sa ba fundela go funda batho ba dirang same business ile gore gongwe ga yi go nna le boleng le go di gone go ita loan tse o di ituela e be go pala cause batho bo ba sena I'm asking this question in relation to the project the last thing, Honorable Chiang, Chema, but all about Chema, was a politique. That's the reason why Kumpi wana lesa tholele tsela. Ke batla go rudumala ne le nna kampong kganetse go no gore nya mine lesa le ne se mo se politiking le bo mpha le baka la gore wa chema e se Kumpi because ha ne le gore chema
ya mo motsela o skora lu le a dumala le
ha le gore o tangara ha le gore go le tabo le teng go le mabogodung go ngwe ka bo ikhansetse go batla go nthalosetse ka yona chema. And lastly, CEDA recently, just 2 days back, recently appeared on TV promoting a poultry program. Could you give clarity on how this project will benefit the general public, entrepreneur? I'll make follow-ups, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Aaron.
For your submission. Re Mukefan, right? Make super Kita Opposition Sami Hilo Rona leading with Zeus, so we will get at our home, Dabata di Taluses in the Botoka. Ho Lebeha Okare CEDA. Compliance requirement is alone. More especially for first-timer application. They are very strict. Moile gore Batswana ya ka ntse go bua ka rena was tobala haruloganya le di commercial banks. Le gore ga bo go dirwa keng gore ere motho a dirile a submitile application me di projections tsa ge di molla gore business e a simolodise e ta thokana le bokana gongwe lona a beletsa a tshwetswa gore le moha se phatonyana sa madi a batileng ha le bone go mo ile gore you are setting this business for failure kana ha ile gore tota re bua ka loan re sa bua ka grant gare o he motho madi a ile gore o bona gore ke wana ka mo simolodisang le gore a wetse thoko gore most of people who failed to pay back their loans ke ke bone batho ba ile gore ne le ba ha lemenyana gona le madi a ne e re ba dira di-projections tsa bone ba bona gore ke ona ka simolodisang business. A wetse thoko gore truly ke bone batho ba ile gore yaanong ke gore Motswana ene gore le ha o mo ha madi a ko tlase go na le gore a re mme kana mo go to go ntsenya madi gore o to hela amogela mme go dirwa ke lona. Mme gongwe gape ke tlhaloganye sengwe gape, strict or stringent as you are when it comes to scrutinizing applications, go lebega gore ga lena consistency. Go ba maruri go le kae gore go na le dikompone tse ile gore le difandile di na le less than 100 days di registerile mo SEPA. Consistency. Me mo bo go tisa gone gore go reela gore ga lena gore ga lena tsamaiso e le gore go ka ya ikanyega e tisa mo setšhabeng gore le ska la tshepega. Gongwe ke tlhaloganye gape with regard to your board of directors gore status sa your board of directors gone gompieno jana sentse yang. What is the status regarding the appointment of board of directors? Le gore go lebega gore di-body tsa lona ga batho ba tswa ga go nne le ba ile gore ba replace. Ke gore do you really have a succession plan? Either ke board of directors kana senior management go tswala those gaps tse ile gore e nna le se pato sa gore ga re kgone go dira se ka gore ne re sena bone boeteledipele jo bo tshwanetseng gore ne bo ka re etelela pele ya ka tsone di-board. I would like to understand what plans do you have to address delays in review your policies and procedures across all your branches? Last but not least, why has the agency been operating without a data protection officer, which is a violation of the Data Protection Act?
Honorable Furniture.
Modula Stilo, na ke batla go itebaganya le di recommendation tse di dirilweng ke ba bawa ko go lona go supagala gore bawa e le issuetse about 10 recommendations tse di negative kana di negative findings on your oversight of risk. One, IT, secondly, legal compliance. One would want to know, besides or notwithstanding the lack of board quorum, what can you do to implement good governance in these areas as management of CEDA? What is it that you can do, or what are you going to do to implement good governance? Mole kalanela lona la CEDA. Sabobedi, please provide timelines for resolving the recommendations. Are there suspicions of fraud in CEDA? And if it's true, yes or no, what steps have you taken to ensure timely investigation of such? Fraud. ha ile gore go ba maruri le diraeng go bona gore diemo tse di a wela ya bogelo ke e amanang le chema yo o hitileng ka yone batswana ba le bantsi ba tshotse di-offer letter kana approve letter tsa chema mme yaanong ga ba ise ba kgone go thusiwa. Can you confirm to this committee gore a mme ba ta duelwa kana ba ta thusiwa rather in this financial year both kana le ta thusa bontlha bongwe mo ngwageng nngwe and then ba bangwe mo ngwageng o tang? Ke a leboga modulasetilo.
Honorable Sidombo.
Thank you, Chair. Ke tla lebogana le tsa audit. O kutlile o supa gore mo internal auditing go ne ga le mosega ga gona le go boela ga dikgang tsa uninsured projects tse e leng gore di cut across all branches. Gongwe motho a ka rata go itse gore ke eng se diragala go bakwa ke eng gore go nna jalo. Engwe ya bobedi be nna gona gore motho ka botsa gore what measures have you put in place to address control weaknesses such as missing documents, documentation and unsigned loan appraisals and underutilized SAP system. What is the management doing to improve oversight and accountability of projects? Thank you.
Honorable Ownership. Hora nke a go lenela la araba ha re tsa e be ke wa ke boela go bona bo ba tsolisa dipotso tsa bone ba ona le di follow up le di noteng gore ba hetse go bua e be re boela mo go lona le di follow up gore o nneng sentra go sentse le teng ba di arabe ha re tswa re boela gape be tsotse se se go mora go le dipotsa.
Ne ke re ke go kope sengwe tšhe gore since re di boditse ile magoboka gore re bone gore a di arabile tsote o no mention a potso o bo ya araba ka gore se tse le dintse gore re bone gore a di arabile. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. In particular, there's the first question that talks to Hore Parlohanyo ya CEDA le commercial banks, and I think in line with also because you've also touched on it, Honorable Aaron. CEDA jaka ke se ke tlhalositse ena le a different type of risk appetite, and our risk appetite takes care of even a start-up. Ha company isimolotse hela a greenfield or a brownfield, we play in both areas. And therefore, because of that risk appetite, re khona gore re thuse di komponi tsa Batswana gore di khone gore di tle di simolole di kgwebo. Se se botlhokwa se se leng teng ke gore CEDA ga ya ema hela mo go leng gore e tla dira finance. CEDA e tseneletse ko teng mo e leng gore jaanong re kgona gore mme go na le dingwaga go ntse go le teng gore re dire mo go teng project preparatory finance. E ka tla e le grant, e ka tla e le blended finance where the promoter pays 50% and we pay 50%. This se thusa bagwebi gore ba kgone go dira di project tse e leng gore di bankable. The greatest challenge is that most of the projects don't come ready or bankable already. Re leka thata gore re bereke le lephata la lea le leng gore le dira a lot of training in terms of gore bagwebi ba ithute di financials ba kgone go tlhaloganya gore se a se akantseng, how do you make it a bankable and a sustainable project. So pharologanyo e kgolo thata e re nang le yone ke gore really CEDA we have a huge risk appetite, and the risk appetite is very clear and visible in terms of how our non-performing loans are sitting. Di ko godimo thata ka gore initially CEDA focused more on startups than having a blend of both startups and existing growing businesses. Ne re sa dire thata expansion, ne re dira thata startups le sustaining. Gore ga kgwebo ya gago e tlhoka thuso ya gore e nne sustainable, CEDA would come in and help in terms of that. It's either it gives finance kana ya go e go raere ya go bankeng ya ga go rona re tla nna your guarantor. In the case where you fail to pay, we guarantee the bank that we will pay them. And therefore, that's also part of the reason why we had a high NPL rate in terms of that. Mehela, we are looking forward to ensuring and growing Botswana businesses, whether it's an idea, we help you develop it, we help you finance it, and we help you gore e re sustain. Potso ya bobedi ke ya gore can we build entrepreneurs? We do build entrepreneurs, Honorable Chair, in the sense that we've selected and we continue to have companies that are called mentors so that they can mentor. And this is at the full cost to CEDA. To mentor you as an entrepreneur so that with a person who's got the technical skill and the technical ability to ensure that your business reaches the promised land that you have actually envisioned. The collections strategy. Renale, what you call a road to recovery strategy. The road to recovery strategy, which was implemented in the last half of the last financial year, has helped CEDA improve on its collections. In fact, as at December, we had collected 426 million pula. And this explains why CEDA, how did CEDA manage to sustain and continue to fund without very little government subvention? We were offered a government subvention CFO of 289 million, and we only got 170. In fact, in the whole financial year from March from April to March 2026, we got only 70 million, and the 70 million only came in April. The 77 million only came in April. So we financed this entire book using the collections that we have revamped. And what we've also done, we've put in place measures to ensure that we actually are collecting. It is not enough, Chair. I must say that there is also technical ability that we need to put in place. Our collections, we only see it a month in arrears. Or default deal. Because our system, current system, the previous system, we could only run end of month. Now with SAP S/4HANA, the improvements that it will help is that we will be able to go to points where we run end of day. From end of month, where we only see what transactions have happened at the end of the month. We go into end of day, so we actually see real-time transactions and are able to see this customer has actually not been able to pay. The other challenge was more also in terms of the structure of how we were set up. We had hunters and relationship managers. That created a gap in understanding the customer's business. Now, what we've put in place is a process that we call cradle to grave. And grave does not mean business is grave means you see it to the end of the facility that you've offered the customer. So the hunter also becomes the gatherer and also maintains the relationship with the customer because he's built that intimate knowledge about the business at the beginning and at the very, very first start. And that's how that relationship model will actually help improve in our monitoring and mentoring services that we offer the customers. And in addition, that will also improve on the collections that we will do. And on the CMIF, I'm going to ask Mr. Moribame to assist me in terms of the CMIF fund.
Thank you, CEO. Good afternoon once more. Just to give a brief background of how CMIF came into being, the Honorable MP did highlight the fact that it came into being as a result of the realization that Botswana properties were being taken over by commercial banks in the event that the properties had been offered as security, and therefore, when they fail to repay the commercial banks take them over, and then they fall into, in some instances, into foreign hands. So we were tasked with the responsibility to try and rescue some of these properties, take them over into our book so that they do not get sold in execution. To get to the answer of the question was whether the CMIF portfolio is performing properly. What actually happens is that in the event that a property is not performing at the bank, what would happen is that once that particular customer is served with papers, they approach CEDA, and then we make a consideration of whether what structure of a loan or equity we have to put into the business. So what would normally happen is that a lot of the properties that we have taken under CMIF have been financed on account of the fact that, to a great extent, the interest rates that are charged by CEDA are quite low as compared to where that particular applicant would have been coming from. So you generally find that their installments are relatively low when they come to CEDA, and hence why they are able to pay. Property is one of the best performing portfolios in our portfolio because rentals have generally been stable and have been appreciating over time. So even the portfolio under CMIF, in short, it's currently performing relatively well compared to the other sectors. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, we were also asked to clarify on what we're doing around technical and vocational graduates. We are getting there, and it's still works in progress. One thing that I can say with certainty is that we've developed a product called Youth Farm Model. The students of Buang Enterprises, Buang University, will actually benefit from this, whether he studied poultry. We are ready to give them a head start. As part of Letsema, we will be also getting graduates out of the university and any other university in order to actually afford them an opportunity not to look for employment, but to look for an opportunity to become an employer. The technical people who are what we are doing is we've gone to the mining houses and said to them, what are the key roles that we can actually work with you? In particular, what industries where we will be able to take these vocational trained students to come and start up businesses that will actually help them. In particular, Leone, it's still in the pot, it's being cooked. We are hoping before the end of July we have already built a relationship with Morupule Colliery, and we'll be building logistics. The value chain around logistics is the auto mechanics that will actually service those logistics companies. And that will actually go a long way in creating employers that come out of the vocational training. And it's very strict. It is meant for youth, women, and people living with disabilities. How Simonana, you fall outside the sphere. And therefore, we are very deliberate around creating employees and employers out of the youth in order to reduce the high unemployment rate that our institutions continue to churn. Most of our students come out thinking and believing they need to find a job. We are saying you need to come up with an idea, and when you come up with an idea, Renale Yone project preparatory fund that will help to make your idea a bankable business. So we've put in that in place. Youth farm model. We also have a program also for the textile industry, and that will also be targeting the youth and the graduates that come out of the vocational training institutes. And we are looking to say, when we have arrived, the entire country, uniforms must be done by these entrepreneurs. And the challenge that we know they have, because our research shows that it's in the importation of the raw material that is required. And therefore, CEDA comes in with a model that actually helps them to get cheaper matsela affordable to them, and we do it in a clustered fashion. Have I left anything out of say ono udibotsa Honorable Hikwama? Ke tsene mogo ya ga
gongwe o buile ke sorry Honorable Chair. Ne ke ga ke a utlwa ya go tokahatsa ka ha le collector madi ka gongwe o buile me ga ke a utlwa sente.
Okay. Yeah. We've built in a department within our collections. We've built in a strategy erring the road to recovery. And in the road to recovery, we have teams that are dedicated to looking at these businesses redefundile and are not. No, ordinarily a normal collections, but it has not been accelerated in a way that we try and understand why this customer is paying. Me, that we have noted as CEDA. How come Batswana don't pay because they don't want to pay? It's not necessarily that they can't afford to pay. It is because they believe it's government money and therefore I do not have to pay. And that is, I think, one of the greatest pain points. And that is why I said, Chair, through you, we've managed to collect 426 million. And that is not out of legal litigation. It is out of pushing the very same Botswana. And this is at December. Yeah. The forensic audit. The forensic audit, Chair, through you, CEDA was one of the institutions that the forensic audit focused on. We have not received the report, and we believe it is with the relevant authorities. But I can confirm that it was under the forensic audit. CFO, you will help me clear off the unresolved, uncleared receipts that the audit has found and continues to show.
Through you, Chair. Thank you very much, CEO. It is a project that we're actually undertaking. We, as early or as late as yesterday, that was a topic of discussion with the Finance, Risk and Audit Committee. We were duly guided to make sure that we actually form a small committee to make sure that we follow up with the banks, because this would necessarily be payments that have actually been made through the banks, but without the proper references. So it is something that we are actually undertaking to make sure that we assign specific officers to clear off this 9 million pula that the Honorable MP has actually been speaking to. So in a nutshell, it is under consideration, sir, and it will be resolved as soon as possible, possibly within the next 3 months or so, because we are looking at finalizing our next audit, which is for 2024-2025. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Going to the next one, in Ibotsakore, do projects actually create employment? And do we really look into what impact our projects that we finance have? Chair, I would like to confirm that one of the key items that we check for projects that we fund is its impact on job creation. It is a key item in terms of that. And therefore, if it does not create jobs, does it help to sustain the jobs? And that is what we look for in any project that we finance. Even the property projects, I can tell you, they will put in accountant, property manager who will be looking after these properties. But lo and behold, he's a one-man show once the funds have been disbursed. And I would like to talk to Eo Yaletlakane, and I think we have gone over to them and said, we know the reason where you are was as a resultant of the economic downturn that has happened to the Orapa Letlakane Damsa mines over the period. Now, we need to look and say, how do we help you to remain and repay? Remember, these are public funds and we want them repaid. How do we help you to remain a sustainable business? During the peak and the best period, a 2-bedroom unit in Letlakane was 5,000-6,000 pula. Today, you will probably get it at 2,500. How do we help you to say, how do we reduce your installment so that it is affordable to the reality on the ground? Problem the entrepreneurs, once they get there, they give up and they do not communicate. They just let it, but what is important is for you as an entrepreneur, and I encourage that they must come and be upfront and say, "Me ke a bona gore ke a go ela mo le meneng hape le hale, CEDA, how can you help me?" And our developmental mandate requires that we help you to remain sustainable. The poultry suit. The poultry suit is looking after the micro enterprises. We've actually not only looked at the challenges that have besieged the bomme le banana ko gae ba ba ne ba leka go itshetsa. We are working on the poultry suit to ensure that issue ya gore o fete o tsene o kwala mo notebookong bo ema 6 weeks to 8 weeks go tlo emetse dikokwana will be a thing of the end in the future, because we are assisting Botswana to build hatcheries. The one in Letlakane is a good example. I say it because she has allowed me to talk about it. It will be expanded to be able to actually increase its capacity to serve communities. We are bringing breeds that will be aligned to the market in Botswana in terms of its resistance and its ability to withstand the heat, and Ihola within 32 days, as opposed to the ones that we used to that take 6 weeks. Re a itse ha Motswana a nna ko gae a re ene ha isko a bone a godisa dikoko ko gae, we will be very surprised. And that's why we are saying kuko ya Setswana can actually become a commercial business. And therefore, re batla gore we should help increase and commercialize the cocoa tsa Setswana through the poultry suit. Go gontsi, Chairman, we talk logistics, we talk abattoirs, because we want feed. We also talk market access. And we can say with certainty gore kana problem ha gongwe re lebella Botswana as the only market with a 2.5 million population. But in fact, Botswana is sitting at the very center of SADC. And therefore, SADC is self-sufficient in terms of poultry. South Africa still imports from Brazil. Angola imports from Brazil. Why can't we, closer to these countries, be able to create an industry that will better serve these countries? So the poultry suit is meant for micro enterprises, small and medium enterprises. Ibile, rare, halile a community of poultry farmers. Ikobokanyeng rile agele an abattoir, so that libereke moho and we reduce the cost of slaughter. And we not only work with you to build the abattoir, we work with Bobs to certify, so that you can actually take it into the retail with certification. Meet the minimum or the best standards. And in fact, what we produce as Botswana will be export quality. So that's the poultry suit, Chair. Potso engwe ke ya gore CEDA seems to be very strict. Chair, renally guidelines that were revised Labohelo in 2020, they relaxed the requirements very much, and we believe we can further relax the requirements. Tota ibile ke tlhomamise gore under the poultry suit, the assets that we finance are actually the assets. And if you just come and look for working capital, we will work to find mechanisms to work with you even on an unsecured, but on a session-based business. And therefore, the requirements have much been relaxed, and we continue to relax them as we go. We are reviewing the CEDA guidelines, And we believe we will be sending them for approval through the board, then the ministry, and then we can go to market and implement them. So that more economy is to revitalize the SME market, because the SME normally is the cornerstone of an ailing economy. And we believe CEDA has been created to be that backbone. And therefore, we will exercise that mandate to ensure that we do that. In terms of strict application, no consistency. Chair, I would like to say, if you register your company today and it has all required documentation in terms of CEPA, you can come to CEDA, we'll fund you. And that's why we are able to do startups. So it is not how long the company has been in the shelf. It is whether it meets the minimum requirements that have been set and put in place by the CEPA and the regulations. And therefore, listen, kala tsaba le re ke tshwanetse gore ke be ke na le company e na le dingwaga tse dintsi gore ke go applyela loan ko CEDA. In fact, sometimes because it's a shelf company, it creates problems tsa gore re tlhoka gore o re tlhalosetse sentle gore di financial tsa dingwaga tse dintsi di hitile di ko kae. And where is your tax compliance certificate? Because you've actually had this company for the last 3 years, and therefore you must comply with the law. But Highland, we actually know that it's new, and LibURS is very quick to give you a tax clearance because it's a startup. So we are happy to work with startup companies. Chair, I would like to confirm that the board of directors is in place. It's a full board, and with Mr. Mbaka Nyilenyatso as the chairman of the board of directors. And we have all the necessary skills in that particular board that started its job in March. Appointment of the board chair is not a prerogative of management, it's of the shareholder. And therefore, rebuild a succession plan in terms of the board. But what I can say, I've noticed what the shareholder has done. The shareholder has always ensured that there is one representative of the shareholder. In our case, we have an employee of the Ministry of Trade and Entrepreneurship who sits as part of the board and has actually helped in terms of carrying forward memories of what has happened and transpired in the past, and he's still a member of the new board. Succession planning in terms of management, we have a succession plan put in place. You can rest assured that CEDA's policy in terms of employment says you start within and with trying to find the right skills within the organization. And then if you can't, then it's only when you go outside. So we are very much interested, and we have a succession plan in place in terms of employment. The delays in policies and procedures across branches, Chair, it is an audit finding that has reoccurred. We've put in a management control in terms of holding people accountable to ensuring that they close the items within a stipulated time. In fact, the executive takes the accountability for the branches that are not compliant, and we have put in place required mechanisms that encourage compliance and encourage that these must be closed. And I think the internal auditor has actually come out in her report to say, even though these are evident, there is traction that she's happy that she sees. And I think that for me, I want to see CEDA closing this, and we having a turnaround time on how, when, and how long we must close these items that are opened. Why we did not operate why we operated without a DPO chair, it's one of the things that we have corrected. It shouldn't have happened. It is illegal to operate without a DPO because it's a requirement of the law. And I confirm that we have corrected that and we have a DPO in place. Honorable Furniture did ask about Bauer, the report, and the 10 items that were picked under Bauer. The number one item that Bauer had picked up was there was no board of directors. I can confirm that the board is there. Annual reports not being prepared. I'm happy to say that the 2023 annual report that was not prepared has been prepared. We are now looking at the 23-24 annual report that CFO has spoken to, that it has passed the Finance, Risk and Audit Committee, and therefore we will have them. I can confirm and say to the Honorable House that CEDA intends by the 31st of December, we must be up to date in terms of our financials. The auditors have confirmed that they will be soon be starting, they've started the 24-25 financial year, and as soon as that is done, and they started it last year, November, they believe they will be done by June, end of June, and then they will start the 25-26, which we believe should be done by the end of the calendar year 2026. And we would be very happy to be very compliant in terms of that. The financials were largely unsigned because the financials, there was no board of directors to sign off the financials. In fact, the 2022-23 financials were completed as far back as November last year. And they stood there without sign-off because of lack of the relevant authorities that could sign. We have put in place and are reviewing the board charter. It has taken a very long time to review the charter, and we admit to that, and we can confirm that it will be reviewed and approved by the shareholder in a couple of months. The CEDA, the agency being a state-owned enterprise, the Bauer raised an issue that the board is not permitted to remove directors without shareholders' approval. The CEDA being a state-owned enterprise, all the board members are appointed by the shareholder. And it goes without saying that the shareholders must agree on who must run its own organization, such as CEDA. And therefore, this finding, though relevant in terms of King 3 and King 4, we find it very difficult to say you can operate as a board outside your shareholder being government. So that also has been shared with the ministry, and I think it's not really peculiar to CEDA. The rest of the items that were picked, no performance evaluation, no review of finance and audit function. In fact, FRAC has now even evolved from being a finance and audit function committee to become a finance, a risk and audit function, so that we have actually moved a step ahead into the times in terms of ensuring that we reach the necessary compliance. Chair, I take also that I need to talk to the question around suspicions of fraud. And I can confirm that there are fraudulent activities that happen in CEDA. I can't quantify them. And we work tirelessly with the DCEC in terms of ensuring that any fraud that we detect is reported to the right relevant authorities. Not only the DCEC, the police, the serious crime, we work with them in terms of these type of fraudulent and suspicions of fraud that come through the institution. We do have a dedicated team that works around the clock to make sure that they investigate within the right turnaround times. It is led by Mr. Mukhoja, sitting right there, that ensure that we close these issues as quickly as possible. Anyway, Honorable Furniture, Yahore, Chema, will we be giving them the money? I must say that I am not able to answer it because Chema funds were coming out of government, but I have seen that government has not been able to have the funds readily available to actually pay those approved facilities. And therefore, I think we cannot say it will not happen, neither can we say it will happen as CEDA. We are merely acting on behalf of government in terms of the product. Chair, Honorable Sidombo asked a pertinent question that gives me sleepless nights even today around uninsured properties. We sit with book of assets valued at over 11 billion pula, and we've got less than a billion pula of insured properties. Yet we have an exposure of 2.4 billion pula in terms of financed money out there. We have gone to resuscitate a clause that we used to have, that we took out for, I'm unable to understand why we took out. Previously, the agency used to say, if you don't insure, we'll insure. Because at the end of the day, we are insuring by force debiting your account to ensure that the asset that is standing as collateral is financed. One incident that happened, or one or two incidents that happened, is that when we had not force debited the customer, the property burned down, and the guy said, you said you will force debit me if I don't pay, and therefore it is your fault. And we sort of took, in order to manage that risk, we took out that clause. We have now put back that clause because we've got CEDA insurance brokers that can actually manage the process on our behalf and will ensure that these properties and these assets are insured from time to time. The missing documents and unutilized subsystem, I think, CFO, you also answered it yesterday. Please, can you assist in terms of that, in terms of SEP? Oh, it's Mr. Mribam. Okay, thank you.
On the issue of the control controls, where LAR signatures and actually where the LARs are not signed. The LAR is the loan appraisal reports. That is part of what the cleanup that the CEO just spoke to, where we are undertaking an evaluation of all matters or reports that relate to the past. And we have done an exercise as part of the transition to the SAP S4HANA to clean up our portfolio to ensure that everything that related to the previous years is signed within and put on our files. So that is currently an ongoing exercise, which we intend to close by the 12th of February. Sorry, the 12th of June.
Thank you, CEO. Chair, the last one being, what is management doing in terms of improving oversight on projects? The first one I've already talked to in terms of restructuring the organization in terms of what we will do in terms of cradle to grave that we are putting in place. Every officer that has a relationship responsibility will actually be in charge of his portfolio, its performance, and ensuring that it meets the minimum requirements in terms of portfolio performance. And it's something that we'll not do overnight, but we believe we will actually achieve the desired results within the shortest possible time. And we've put this into the contracts of the new financial year to ensure that that happens. What we've also ensured, Chair, is that, and I'm the first to admit that the oversight was not happening. The officers would see the project at inception. The next time they see it is when it is in NPL. But what we have done, and sometimes we've done, is as the executive management of CEDA, we've now adopted certain branches, and we have ensured that we also do visits and we try and understand if our officers understand portfolio management. We have not ended there. We've put in a program that ensures that portfolio management training happens, and it's done as by a reputable organization that has experience in training institutions around portfolio management. And Chair, I hold that we believe arrears will go down because of the system changes that we are putting in place as for HANA. We are putting in place human capital that we will upskill and retool in order to become the officers of the future, where we use the cradle to grave methodology of managing portfolios and holding people accountable for the portfolios that they manage. Chair, I thank you very much. I hope I have not left anything outside of the questions asked.
A supplementary?
Supplementary?
Mine is just a follow-up. Can I only follow up, comrade?
Gore gore ka o burisana ra go tsa raunda bohelo ba di-supplemental ba dipotso tsa bohelo 1-1 hela gore re la nne ke sa botsa yana nna ke tadi yana ka pela yana ke batla go botsa ka budget ya merchandise ya lona gore ke se ke lebile ba tsona ba ngora ba re hela go na le event le tla ka merchandise dintšha gore gore a ra nna madi a mantsi thata go nna ka moso ke dikhomba tsa CEDA ha le dira sengwe sa mai go ta merchandise o mošwa ha le dira nagana le dira project nngwe ya mai ke ya sekai le ta ka merchandise o mošwa ha le dira sele merchandise gore budget ya lona merchandise ke bokae a le gona ha le dira tsone dilo tse a le reka mo go bona ba le ba fundang ya bobedi ke mo loan bookung ya lona in terms of percentage banana ke bokae bomme people living with disability le gore mo le spenda bokae mo consultancy nkile ka utlwa gore le ga le na le batho ba ba berekang ba le ba hirileng permanently ba bo advertise le bo marketing mme le santse le kgona go tsaya ba konto gore ba tlo go dira consultancy ya tiro tseo gore a santse le tsweletse le dira yalo le gore ha le emisitse le le spendile bokae mo tsone tsa di-consultancy tse ga e telele
Yeah, go tsena madi.
a tsene yana re hetsa go tsamaya yana.
Okay. Nyami ke a leboga Honorable Chair. Will be my last question.
Yes.
Honorable Chair and CEO, CEDA is funded by tax revenue from all citizens, regardless of political affiliation. But even the culture that has been now came to be associated with CEDA, or it has turned itself to be a recruitment arm for the ruling party. And this, it has become a culture. Everybody now see how CEDA in recruit party busa. And lona lehilo bikarolo jo bukanakana. Yo go netehatsa gore madi a setšhaba a ile gore ke a setšhaba se sothe. Ke a mongwe le mongwe le yo se mo dipartying tota. To remain a true and even in perceptions, gore is a national empowerment, economic empowerment agency, not a recruitment organ of any political party. Le dira jang ebile le bona gore se se dira gore batho ba dumele jalo ke eng ebile lona le ka dira jang go itsa this bad and negative stigma on your shoulder.
Ore bulukama kara ya nong ha o ka uto putswate me anong ha ke bone ha ile ha nong ha ba ka se ke ba ikarabela ha na re tle re ta re le committee e bota go accuse gore gongwe CEDA e dira la ruling party. Ha ke bona putswate ngele malebanna ke ne ke re go ngwa o botsela gore gongwe e dirisiwa go tsa dipolitiki but me ha o ta go supa no e bona o tsena ka ya no a ka re ke re go ngwa ka supela go ngwa no ka e tsaya wa se kwa supa kana o re ruling party go ra re sona party e o isupileng ka monwana me ano re gongwe e dirisiwa folo sa dipolitiki o sa supipe party yo gongwe ne ka nna botoka kana no ra go ra le bona ruling party ba ikarabela me ano re gongwe e dirisiwa se politiki hela ne ba ka ya ra
modula stilo se ke se buang ke se it has been associated and it's a history e lo re ntse ile teng le ba ba le mote ba hithela gone mo le bone gongwe ba tswele di sakitse but that is the culture and the norm that has been established mo le hatseng la Botswana le ha o tsamaya hela ha o batla go tsaya CEDA joina ka party e busa ka re bone go entsha leswele go entsha leswele stigma sonese ba dira eng go netehatsa gore mongwe le mongwe wa khotsohala ebile o khotsohalela di service tsa bone. It is a question in order.
No me ka go uta e ka re lwena a kana yo ki ese ya go ka so go ntshalo unless ona le evidence o ka e banga e be arabiwa comrade Hukama.
I also said it's a perception and is how are they ensuring gore they ba declare ba netehatsa gore service tsa bone ga di lebiwe e le tza sportiki
so di siame ke utula hala araba lona le hale ke bona araba le ska la araba ya di GSA ka gore araba to gore be
is an insinuation, is a perception, is a culture
lang GSA ya araba di khangela ya GSA go sta bosupi ya ke bona le ka ya araba.
Honorable Chair, now you are becoming a gatekeeper, which will be dangerous for you. Yes. You are becoming a gatekeeper, which will be dangerous for you. Remain a chair. Remain a chair. Be neutral. Rar. He has said, "Kana hanko kiri. Ho hilwe mungwe. Ke gone kana he say. Ha kiri ho hilwe mungwe ke se mama. Ke gone kana he say."
Ke a leboga tše gongwe ke tlhaloganye sengwe se ke sa se utlwang sente go na le o ne o supa gore kana CEDA e simolotse thata e le mo di-startupong mme ebile le na le tsamaiso ya joint venture between an investor le lona. Ke tlhaloganye gore what are the requirements tsa gore motho a qualify go nna a joint venture with CEDA. Le gore ga ke auta e thatsoga sente ene ke re a le lemogile gore underfunding ene ile tradition ya CEDA. A le lemogile gore ke ene e dira gore dikgwebo ka bontsi diwe ka gore ene re motho a kopa madi lona be le itseela tshwetso ya gore gongwe le mo ha 50% le gore a le santse le ka tswelela ka tsamaiso ya go dira jalo. Ke tsa gore engwe ya rabile ene e le gore ke re le na le inadequate monitoring ya di-project tsa lona ke ene e dira gore le ska la collecta but ka ha o setse o ithatswe ka teng le lemogile bokoa jwa teng mme ke tsa gore la bankang. Please kopa nkarabe go tshepedisa. Thank you.
Ke a leboga Honorable Chair. Tota ya me ke ne tshwana tota ebile tota e kwa mana na bua se ke neng ke a go taletsa mo go sone. So ga ke ne ke botse kgang tele ka chema ina ba ne ba tsere chema ba ile ba imisiwe go ka gore dikaloto tsa bone we cut off. Mme go na le manane wa mangwe go mabogodinku a ene gore gongwe one batho ba teng ba santse ba rana ba duela. Yaanong ne ke batla go itse gore ke ne ke botsa gantele ke re a ne chema e rile ga ya go simolola chema e ne e lebagane le eng sentente ya ka e khansetswana a ne motho a ka go botsa CEO a re chema ne le lenaneo la sepolotiki a o ta dumalana le lenaneo. Sa bobedi ke taletsa mo go sene mototegi a bua ka sone ke gore ra go ira go le kae go bona gore motswana mongwe le mongwe yo na le keletso go tsena mo go applyela CEDA o ka bona madi a CEDA a sa lebagana le gore gongwe o tswa ke wa mebala e heng kampo o lebagane le mang because ra itse hela sentente gore CEDA e ne ntse le teng before you got into office. E ne re ha go ne gona le batho ba neng ba fundiwa ka gore ke mang ha hikwame e le mmaba wa me ebile ga gona ha tsena nteng a wa itse ra gona sa eng go se bona but ha ile gore gongwe a rone ene ke tsalami wa go benefita re ka go itse le ke taletsa mo gone gore ra go dira go le kae go bona gore go a go nna le fairness mo allocation e leng gore ngwe la boleta e le teng ya go thusa ba ba ile gore ba tsentse di-application mo CEDA. I thank you Honorable Chair. Go mate ba le go tlhalosa gore ba tshwanetse gore ba nne clear mo dikganyeng tsone tse gore CEDA se ka nna o ka re anong ke lenaneo le leng gore ke le sepolotiki. Thank you.
Ke a leboga Chair. Ne ke batla gore gongwe le ya kgelemogo ya the former CEO. I understand gore suspension ya gago e ne a hela kana kontraka ya go e ne a hela a ntse a le mo suspension. Ga ke itse le dirisitse bokae go mo duela a le kwa lapeng. Secondly, la go dira yang go leka gore diemotse di ska tsa boelela gape. We ba ya gongwe motho ga le na le mathata le mmereki mo go lona o nna hela le mo suspendile mme a duela on full pay mme go sena maduo bo gora gore jaanong technically o ntshiwa ke gore kontraka ya go a isa thola le teng but puso kana le kalana le tshwana le lona la CEDA le senyegelwa ke madi ke yone potso ya me.
Gongwe go taletsa gono Honorable Chair gore ke batla go itse gore ha o le CEO ya ka the previous CEO a ne ke go tshwanetse gore gongwe ya ka ana supa mo suspensioning o nna le dituelo tse leng gore gongwe a ditsa go ithelela kontraka ga go gongwe re sa itse go leng gore ya go hella teng le gore sengwe le sengwe se leng gore gongwe CEO the current CEO ba a ka se benefit a ne le mo suspension o tshwanetse gore a benefit gore ke bua ka di benefits tse dintsi go na le bo di gardenera tse leng gore gongwe di a go tlhokomela dijarata go na le gore sengwe se tshotse ke batla go itse gore gongwe ba ka heta ka yone go taletsa la mo go Honorable Furniture na bua ka yone. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think potso ya ga Honorable Furniture, yeah, let me start about the suspended CEO. I think it's beyond me. It's a shareholder decision and or board decision, and I'm constrained in order to understand or comment on it. Thank you, Kitsahori. The decisions of the shareholder, I must say, are the decisions of the owner of the organization and are not necessarily the decisions of the management. The management implements what the board of directors and the shareholder wants to put in place. I'm not an attorney at law. I think the attorneys will explain further that what benefits go with a suspended CEO in terms of the law. Remember, we must always operate within the confines of the law, and CEDA will always adhere to the confines of the law. With your permission, on the suspended CEO and any suspension that may happen now and in the future. There was a question about Chema being a political product. I think Chema was put in place before my time, and I'm not privy to understand it as a political. I know it was a product that was meant for Botswana, but I also reviewed it and I saw that it was not creating sustainable businesses. And I was happy that the president did say, let this become a grant, because this basically was just going to balloon the NPL book of CEDA, because most of, and to follow up those type of loans, 3,000, 2,000 pula, 5,000 pula will cost us more than to collect. So I'm saying I'm happy that Chema came to an end, because it was going to be a nightmare for anybody who would take the seat that I am at. You asked Honorable Arun around underfunding. I am happy, I'm sad to admit that yes, there are projects that were underfunded and they are badly performing. And the customers have come up and said, some customers sit back and say, Gainela. But those that are passionate about their business have come up and said, you've underfunded me, I'm going into trouble, and we are looking on how to actually help resuscitate and build those businesses. In particular, a particular part of the country is Silibi Pikwe area. We are looking to assist them to even become businesses or manufacturers, particularly in manufacturing, that can actually be of export, so that we don't look at the business from a government supplier point of view. But I concur, Chair, that there were instances where CEDA has underfunded and the businesses went into trouble. The other one was asking if CEDA is a recruitment arm of the ruling party. I emphatically say no, Chair. CEDA is an institution for Botswana, and any Motswana has every single right to access the funding from the institution. Any product is available to any Motswana or Tangatswere Omang, and we are happy to fund such. There are perceptions, you are right. And we continue to show our, and we will not even ask you whether you are BDP, BCP, BNF, UDC, when you come and apply for a facility. We just want to see your man, and we will support and grow your business as long as it's a bankable project. Thank you, Chair. Oh, James, the requirements for...
Yes, the guidelines do provide for a joint venture. They may be, I'm going to take them debate. There are two ways. There are instances where you can go into a joint venture with a non-citizen. The requirement of the guidelines simply state that the non-citizen should be able to bring to the table a commensurate amount of capital that the citizen partner is bringing to the table. But in place of money, they could also be bringing with them technology or any other skills that may not be necessarily be available, as well as an opportunity in terms of market. Now, the second aspect, your partnership might occur in an instance where CEDA invests in a business with an applicant, where the applicant requires that CEDA should come and join them in the business as a partner and therefore become an equity holder as well. In that instance, an evaluation of the business would be done to determine how much the value of the business is. And then once that has been determined, CEDA will then put the equivalent of that money on the table to start up the business. If there are any shortfalls emanating from the fact that the development of that business requires additional money, CEDA would either then extend further funding in the form of loans, guarantees, or whatever might be required in that instance. It would take me the whole day to go through what is required, but we do have a full checklist of what needs to be done and what needs to be submitted in order for a business that goes into a joint venture or partnership has to submit in order for it to go the whole way.
Through you, Chair, where can Motswana find that checklist? Is it on your website or one has to get to offices?
We have it both at our offices and on our website. Because of the nature of the business, there is normally some complicated, they are not easy businesses to understand. And I would advise that the best place to visit would be our offices, so that a discussion, a detailed ensues, so that there's a clear understanding on what the both parties need to do.
Yes, Chair. In terms of the funded businesses, youth, we have managed to fund to date 282 million by value, 1,829 by number of businesses funded. For women, we have funded up to 632 million pula, and 6,396 women have benefited, and women have benefited in either as an individual business or in clusters. And you can tell from the clusters that they have done. People living with disabilities, we funded 12 million, and 59 businesses have been funded in that sector. There was an issue around the branding that we have. I must state that let me give an example of when we were doing the cocoa, I think we only procured less than 50 jackets. The rest is existing employees who've always had those jackets over a period of time. But branding is a critical component of what makes any organization visible. And it carries a lot of mileage in terms of money. You are a free advertising post. And therefore, it's very important to always brand the teams, because it's actually cheaper than if I would air that advert in a newspaper every week or air it consistently. I'm sure the entire winter period, people who will be coming to work who've always had those jackets, and those that have just, I'm one of the beneficiaries of a new jacket because I'm as new as they are. I was not there the last 2 winters because they were there 2 winters ago. So it is one part of the important part of doing branding and marketing of CEDA. CFO, will you assist me in terms of our budgetary, in terms of?
The budget on branding is 4.8 million. Obviously, it covers the wide spectrum of branding across the organization. There was also a question on consultancy. We are looking at 20 million.
Branding, merchandise, bale ba fundile go simola dikgwebo ba yana ka branding.
We try as much as we can to buy from our existing customers. And it is, when we evaluate, when it's a large order, it's part of the evaluation exercise to say, if you are a CEDA client, you earn more mileage in terms of that.
There was a question on consultancy and its budget. The budget, we're looking at 20 million. Let me underscore the fact that most of the items that are actually under consultancy are technical consultancies, really. You've got, as was being indicated by the CEO, implementation of the SAP 4HANA, consultancies around those kind of things, which are very intricate and very technical in that nature. So there is a very small list of people who can actually undertake such technical consultancies. Thank you,
Chair. Chair, I must add to that in terms of the other consultancy, le research. We do in-house first, and then if we don't have the technical skills, we then go outside. We even partner with universities as part of what we can do, because and we understand that one of the challenges is that the professors say they do not have funds to take on these innovation. And we are working currently on building an MOU with Bust and Buang in terms of saying what innovative ideas can we partner with you that we can realize as businesses. And they do the research. If they are successful, would actually be given the funds to fund those type of researches.
Yes. Ingami ritumetse re lebogile le ke tsebo se mo se wa ke leboge ke hela tse gore kana ke le modula stilo ga re ke sireletse bothe le ba bare ke gatekeeper ba opposition le ba ruling gore re skara ra to ga ra tso mo re tla uthulana mo se politiki na kwa gore re to ga addressa lona e go pa maitsholo mo go se diregile ga go tsona gore go be go direga yalo tsontsho dipotso di le ba ganile lona hela ke re me re lebogile ka dikarabo tsa lona a go tswellang le thuseng batswana kana se botho ka gore batswana ba bone ditiro go nne le re thatsetswe ke yo lethoko la ditiro le dikgwebo a go nne le dikgwebo re taba ntse re lebitsa re tshwaraganeng a go naela ga le na le madi neelang batswana ba simolole dikgwebo ba bangwe ba expandeng mme nnaela ka bonosi ke itumedise dikarabo tsa lona e le wanela ke a itumelela but ke ne ke bona gore la thelela mme a bona molato le theleletse mo go yone nako nngwe le tayara ba sente mo e bong ma komiti e ke a le lebogang lote le ka moso gore a re tlo go boa ka moso ka le re utlwama ka mo leboga re ta kopana ka moso ka 8 o'clock ka 8 o'clock re na le mineral development company ka 8 o'clock mineral company ke lebogile thank you
very much.